Welcome back to another Benny Boys production, and as promised, we're here to give you a more in-depth breakdown of the three main types of spending accounts.
Today we're going to break down the differences between an HRA, an HSA, an FSA, and how they may relate to you and your circumstances.
So follow along. The first type of spending account that we'll be taking a look at today is what's called an HRA, or Health Reimbursement Account. Your employer may have set up an HRA to fund a portion of your deductible or co-insurance. You may be wondering exactly what this means. Well, an HRA is a form of self-funding by your employer to pay for certain expenses. Let's say your medical plan had an annual maximum out-of-pocket of $5,000 and your employer wanted to reduce your annual financial exposure. They might set up an HRA to fund any expenses between $3,000 and $5,000, reducing the money that comes out of your pocket each year. What this actually means to you is that your maximum out-of-pocket is now capped at $3,000 and your employer is going to pay the difference between $3,000 and $5,000, effectively reducing your annual financial exposure. However, to receive this benefit, you'll need to submit a claim form for reimbursement along with an explanation of benefits to document the expenses. HRAs can be used for many different types of expenses, such as reducing deductibles, co-pays, dental expenses, and most commonly, reducing medical out-of-pocket exposure. HRAs are unfunded, which means you'll need to submit a claim form for reimbursement, and the money is not available up front like you would normally find in a flexible spending account or even an HSA bank account.
Did you know that what you typically think of as an HSA is actually made up of two different parts? The first piece is the Qualified High Deductible Health Plan. Each year the IRS sets guidelines for what qualifies as an HDHP. Currently, the medical plan must have a deductible of at least $1,350 for an individual or $2,700 for a family. All expenses other than preventive services must be subject to the deductible. Once you are covered under a qualified high deductible health plan, then you may be eligible to open and contribute to an HSA bank account. To be eligible, you cannot be covered under any other health plan, including a spouse or parent's medical plan, Medicare, or even VA coverage. You also cannot be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. The IRS also sets limits on how much you can contribute to your HSA bank account each year. These contributions come from different sources, such as employer contributions, personal contributions made through payroll deductions, or those made on your behalf by someone else, such as a parent. The maximum annual contribution to your HSA bank account for 2019 is $3,500 for an individual or $7,000 for a family. If you're 55 years or older, you can contribute an additional $1,000 in catch-up funds each year. You can use the funds in your HSA bank account to pay for co-pays, deductibles, and many qualified medical, dental, or vision expenses. You can even use the funds to cover expenses for family members who are not on your HDHP. Just remember that there are significant penalties for utilizing your HSA funds for non-qualified expenses. Since this is a bank account owned by you, the account follows you regardless of your employer, and the funds are always yours to use for qualified expenses. You don't ever have to worry about losing your contributions.
The last type of account we'll be covering today is what's called an FSA, or Flexible Spending Account. And these have several components, but the first and most common is what's called a healthcare spending account. And this is a special type of account that you put money into in order to pay for certain out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. You don't pay taxes on this money, which means you'll save money on the funds you set aside. Employers can make contributions to these accounts as well, but they are not required to. Healthcare spending accounts have an annual contribution limit of $2,650 per year, and generally you have to use that money within the plan year, although some employers may allow an additional 2.5 months extra to use that money, or an additional $500 can be rolled over into the next plan year, and these are generally known as use it or lose it provisions, and you can use that money in your account to pay for qualified medical, dental, and vision expenses for yourself and/or any dependents. Another common component of the flexible spending account is what's known as the dependent care spending account, which allows you to set money aside on a pre-tax basis to pay for qualified dependent care services such as preschool, summer day camp, before and after school programs, and childcare. You can contribute up to $5,000 annually into these accounts, and by doing so, you can save around 30% on dependent care services. The final piece of the FSA is what's called a commuter FSA. This is also sometimes referred to as a transit or parking FSA, but the commuter FSA allows you to pay for transit expenses such as van, pool, bus fare, parking, and even bicycle expenses on a pre-tax basis. The 2018 contribution limit for one of these accounts is up to $260 per month, which also includes employer contributions.
Thanks for tuning in to another Bendy Boys production, where today we gave you a more in-depth breakdown of the three main types of spending accounts.
We walked you through the differences between HRAs, HSAs, and FSAs. We know these topics may be a little confusing, so if you have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll do our best to get back to you. And while you're on our page, please give us a like and a follow while you're there.
And until then,
We'll see you next time.